Welcome back to Captain Crypto's Compass. Bitcoin has just broken its 100-week SMA. The chart is turning bearish. What can we expect?
Hi, I'm Martin. I'm the founder of Captain Crypto's Compass. I'm a trader and a professor at the Financial Freedom Academy. I am passionate about helping you to achieve financial freedom through the art and the gift of trading. I will be providing you with actionable technical analysis and insights on your favorite cryptocurrency projects to help you make better and more informed decisions. If you're ready to take your trading to the next level, you're in the right place.
In this video, I'm going to have a look at Bitcoin and just highlight a couple of key things that I've noticed in the chart. So I've gone ahead and opened up the 1-week chart for Bitcoin, and the first thing I want to draw attention to is this breakdown and bearish cross of the 21 and 50 simple moving average. You can see here the yellow line is the 21 simple moving average and the green line is the 50 simple moving average. Now the last time we saw the yellow line cross the green line during our previous bull run, we can see here that we had a double top during our previous bull run in 2021. We had a pull down and a breakdown towards the 100 week, and we had a relief rally up to these moving averages, got rejected, and that was the official start of the bear market in April 2022. Now this bear market lasted for approximately 200 days, give or take. We just take a measured move. Since that breakdown, from that breakdown, it was about 238 days until we created the local or the absolute bottom of the bear market in November 2022. Now, interestingly enough, if we look at the behavior that Bitcoin is currently showing us and just looking at the chart, we can see that we have a similar pattern. Bitcoin breaking down towards the 100 simple moving average. Previous bull run, we have Bitcoin creating a top, breaking down towards the 100 simple moving average, relief rally towards the simple moving averages. Here's the relief rally towards the simple moving averages and the bearish cross. Fortunately, this has not boded well for Bitcoin. We were trying desperately to hold on to Bitcoin on this 100-week SMA, this red line, but we broke the 100-week SMA. We broke down and we saw that Bitcoin actually broke our previous pivots as well. We can see here that we highlighted this importance of the 78,000 to about 69,000 level, as this is the previous pivot lows and pivot highs. This area was, we needed to see how Bitcoin reacts to this zone. We can see that Bitcoin broke right through this area and actually tagged the anchored VWAP, anchored from the bear market bottoms. Now this is a very important zone that we highlighted in our previous video as well, between roughly about 60,000 all the way to about 50,000, give or take. Now this is the anchored VWAP from that bear market low pivot. We can see that it gives us this zone here. Looking at market structure, I've highlighted these areas as important for us to see how Bitcoin reacts here. Now we can see that we had an initial bounce, and this is where it's very important to understand technical analysis and to understand market structure. We know from technical analysis that once a support level is broken, it flips from a support to a resistance. And we can see here that this was our previous support level between the 78 and 69, and Bitcoin has gone right through this first support level. So we can logically now expect severe resistance inside of the 78 to about $69,000 range. And we can see that Bitcoin with this relief rally went right up into this zone, and it has broken down yet again, indicating and giving me a clue that we might see lower lows in the future. Bitcoin is trying to find support. It's testing zones. It's putting a lot of pressure on market structure. Now the next pivots that I'm looking at specifically here, it will be in this anchored VWAP zone between roughly 60,000 or almost 61,000 all the way to about this $50,000. Interesting to see how Bitcoin reacts to these. However, looking at our anchored VWAP from the COVID lows, now this is this white line I've anchored here at the COVID lows in March 2020, we can see that this gives us an average price of roughly about $40,000. Now if I were to deduce and just look at the chart of what is potentially possible for our bear market lows, knowing that the previous bear market lasted about 238 days, I can then mark this at the breakdown here of the 100 simple moving average and extend it about 338 days, which gives me a window up until about September of this year that we can expect bearishness in the market.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the content so far. Please remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications.
Now if we look at the breakdown of the 100 SMA, it gives us a time frame of about 203 days. Now how do I get to this 203 days? If I go back to the previous bull run here, as soon as we broke the 100 SMA, we can see that it took about 203 days for the absolute market bottom to form. So this gives me a time window up until about August of this year that we could be bearish for Bitcoin. So putting this into perspective, I also then want to see, well, what is possible for a downturn? How much can we expect for Bitcoin to dip? What has it done previously as it broke the 100-week SMA? Now I've gone ahead, if we just take a measured move here, just delete this and just take a measured move from when we broke the 100 SMA during our previous cycle to the absolute bottom, gave us a drawdown of roughly about 57%. Price range from where we broke the 100-week SMA all the way back down, we can see 57%, puts us right in this zone here between roughly about 40,000 all the way back down to about 30,000. My best guess for this bear market that we're currently in is that we should find a local bottom between roughly about 40,000 all the way to about 30,000. Just looking at market structure here, you can see there's a couple of pivot highs over here as well. Interestingly enough, this 38,000 low pivot is also going to be very important as well. But this is the zone that I'm currently, if Bitcoin were to continue its sell-off, I'll be looking for bear market lows to be in this zone between roughly 40,000 to about $30,000. Just having a look at past performance for Bitcoin specifically. So this is why I've highlighted this. The anchored VWAP also gives me more confidence of this specific zone. But in the meantime, it's going to take a while. We still have a lot of market structure here between this roughly $60,000 and $50,000, and we can see that we have a time frame of roughly about 203 days of continued bearishness. So it'll be interesting to see what Bitcoin does during this 200-day period of bearishness. At least according to past behavior, we can expect about 200 days worth of sideways action, testing these and lower pivots at roughly about 40,000 to about 30,000. That's what's possible just based on previous market structure and previous performance. So I've highlighted all of these here. Interestingly enough, another measurement that I took is from the absolute top of the market to the absolute bottom of the market. How far has Bitcoin fallen in the past? Now, if you take a measured move from the previous pivot high to pivot low of the bear markets, it's about 77%. If we go even further back to the bear market in 2018, we can then see that from the top of the market to the bottom of the market gave us about an 84% drawdown. So if we take an average about 77 to 84%, assuming this was the absolute top of the market, and we just take a measured move about 77% down, this also gives us a lower potential target. And I've highlighted this market structure here between roughly about $25,000 to about $20,000 as a potential. So at least it's possible based on previous market structure and price movements. So I've highlighted these two areas here. So I'm expecting Bitcoin to come in and test these three zones. We're going to take a level to level. We don't know exactly which one will hold as support and could serve as a bottoming pattern for this bear market, but we need to see how Bitcoin reacts to each one of these levels. It'll be very interesting to see if Bitcoin can hold support in the $60,000 to $50,000 range, because there's also a hidden bullish clue here. Now we have created our first lower low, breaking this pivot at roughly $74,000, but looking at market structure, these previous bull structure pivot highs also gives us a clue that this level between roughly $60,000 and $50,000 could also be a very strong basing pattern. Irrespective of the lower lows and all of that, just based on market structure, this is a high probability support zone for Bitcoin. And we'll need to see how Bitcoin reacts to these levels. Similarly to what I did in a previous bull run as well, we can see that as it pulled down, we created a basing pattern on top of the previous bull run pivot highs between this $20,000 and $14,000. We can see that this 15,000 is in the zone between the previous pivot highs. And looking at market structure now, these previous pivot high zones for Bitcoin is in this range between roughly $60,000 and $50,000. So we also need to be aware of this, that these are potential targets, but realistically, market structure wise, these could be the local bottoms for Bitcoin during this corrective phase. So we need to see how Bitcoin reacts. Can it actually consolidate on these levels, or will we actually have a liquidation run all the way back down? So just be careful in these areas, be careful in these zones, but these are my logical targets for a bear market scenario for Bitcoin. We can see that the change of character moment has already happened with the bearish cross, and we are slanting down. Everything is moving down, so we do need to prepare for these worst case scenarios. As always, peace and love, and happy trading.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, hit the like button, hit the sub button, and hit the bell notifications. Also, remember to click the link in the description below to join my mailing list, where I'll be sending you free emails and trading videos, also market report updates weekly to help you stay ahead of the herd. As always, this community would not be the same without you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Peace and love. See you next time.